It is 2023, and that means certainly anything can happen, as well as episode number 63 of the All Things Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. As always, Brandon Lewis, Joey Schneider here with you. And Joey, what a wild, unbelievable first 12 days of 2023 it's been, not only for the Cavs, but in the world in general.
It has been nuts, Brandon. A new opening. I'm a little flabbergasted. New year, new opening. I'm a little shook right now.
Yes,
It's
sir.
been a year and a half. I like it. I like it. But yeah, crazy week in just the world, but crazy week for the Cavs as well. Um, man, I'm gonna be honest. We should have had that one in Utah,
Yeah, I know.
and a series of unfortunate events. I'm not talking about the book series. I am talking about Karis LeVert getting called for just some bad fouls. And look, Karis is he's a great player. He is doing things on this Cavs team. It seems like he is always there when we need him for the most part. I
There's your
think
one
that
for the episode.
there might be another one. If you guys don't if you guys have listened to us consistently, for some reason, at least once per episode, I have a cough that just won't go away. So I always cough or say excuse me, and that's my one for the episode. There might be another one though. But LeVert has played great for the Cavs. I think that he's been a great piece off the bench, especially this year. Last year, we didn't know. Well, we know now what we didn't know last year, which was that he was playing hurt most of after from when we traded for him through the end of the year, and he's healthy this year. He's looked good. I mean, he's had a 40-point game. He's had 20-point games. There's times on defense that he looks phenomenal. I think that anyone who doubted his defense is ridiculous, because I think that he is probably, I shouldn't say probably, I think that he is one of the top 3 defenders on the team. You know what? And just because I think he's come down a little bit, I would say top 3 or top 4. I would probably put Stevens in there too, with Okoro and Jared Allen. But Jared Allen going down, getting food poisoning during the game did not help us. And you could see how sorely he was missed defensively. Oh my God. Walker Kessler and Markkanen just
That
towered over everyone except Mobley.
and Jordan Clarkson getting pretty much anything he wanted in the second half.
Jordan Clarkson, you know what? And we knew Jordan Clarkson can heat up. We kept marketing in check for most of the game, with how good he has been playing lately. But Clarkson just got really hot at the right moment. And then we had those horrendous fouls at the end of the game. And no one is going to convince me that 4-point play that Clarkson did not lean into LeVert.
Yeah,
that was
he did, but I guess by the letter of the law, the NBA says that's the call now they go with.
It's not letter of the law, my ass. That was not a foul. I don't want to hear it. He stuck his rear end down, hit him, and then jumped up and shot it. Like, that's not a natural shooting motion. When they went to the review, it's like they didn't even look at it. It was they called on the floor, they went to review, and 2 seconds later they said
No, I agree.
That was I mean, I don't know how many different angles you got to see it, but the one that they showed on TV was clearly that was not a natural shooting motion.
He does lean into Karis, obviously. I guess what they're calling is they think that Karis, obviously went into him, and that caused him to lean forward, which, again, we talked about a couple weeks ago, and Donovan Mitchell mentioned a couple weeks ago. I forget what game it was, but the Cavs weren't getting really any calls. But NBA officiating is absolutely awful. There were plays in that game that cost the Cavs victories. And unfortunately, that's just the way the ball goes. Yet again, it's been really the theme of this whole season, I feel like, right? It's been the Cavs, even though they have, a top 5 record in the Eastern Conference right now, they're right there with Philadelphia for the number 4 seed. But it also feels like there's been games where, again, if they get a call to go here, or they can close out here, they could have an opportunity to be first place in the East. But again, we've been talking about this team like they're, a really good playoff team, but really, they could be near the top of the Eastern Conference in the standings if just a few calls or bounces go their way.
It's and another thing is we have not. I mean, how have we really been 100%
Again, we
healthy
have
this
not
year?
been healthy since game one. Since
Well,
game one.
right, and we rattled off a bunch of good wins. I think we had an 8-game win streak early in the
Yep.
season, but that's when teams are still going around and trying to figure out who they are as a team for this season. So, but since then, Mobley's been hurt, and then Allen's been out,
Allen's
Love's
been
been
out.
out.
Garland in and out of the lineup. Even Mitchell
Yeah,
would have been in and out of the lineup. Dean Wade is still out. Um, so
yeah, Dean
you know,
Wade. I mean,
yeah,
Dean Wade was such a huge part of our early success, and I don't even know when he's supposed to come back. They said 2 to 4 weeks, 6 weeks ago.
yeah,
I have no idea when he's coming back, and I'm hoping that it's going to be sometime soon, and he's still the Dean Wade that we had early in the year, because he really was contributing huge off the bench. Because me and you have talked, we've talked about this off the air, but Kevin Love has taken a
he
little
has.
bit of a
I would say a step back.
that's what
I would
I was
100% say a step back.
looking for the phrase. Yeah, he's regressed. I mean, his age is showing a little bit. We know that he hurt his thumb. We know that so his shooting motion isn't 100% back yet, but it's getting there. The thing about Kevin Love that I still love is that, yeah, I said it.
Yes, you
Uh,
did.
yes, I did. Is that he's so smart. His court vision is absolutely insane. His court IQ off the charts, and he can run. The point guards can run the offense through him at the elbow. He can
Yep.
find the open man. He could still hit. He can still hit the jumper, but it just feels like he's not in there banging as much. He's not hitting the threes when we need him to hit the threes. And last year and even earlier this year, a lot of times that would start this,
Yes,
these huge runs for the
absolutely.
Cavs, and not being able to rely on Kevin Love, even though every team still has to account for him from deep. So that's another positive thing, is that you still have to account for him. It's not like he's shooting 20%, or 30%. He's still dangerous from downtown, but he's not hitting the shots that would always seem to start these runs the Cavs would go on. And I think that kind of hurts Donovan Mitchell, because we're playing Donovan Mitchell insane amount of minutes. And when he's not on the floor, sometimes it just feels like the Cavs are stagnant. So, you don't want to put this all on one person, because, Darius Garland is still playing like an all-star this year. Evan Mobley has unfortunately disappeared into the abyss, and I'm hoping to see him again soon.
You know what? The last couple games, defensively at least, there have been some plays, not offensively at all, but defensively, there have been some wow plays that he has made that says,
Let,
like, okay, he still has it on the defensive side of the floor.
right.
He made some incredible blocks in the Utah game and
Yeah.
in the Phoenix game. I think he got DeAndre Ayton once, and Ayton was so surprised. I don't know if Ayton's had anybody block his shot before. So again, we talked about this a little bit last week, so I don't know if we need to rehash this as much.
No,
But
he did make some
but
at the end of the game, when it was winning time. He
yes,
really was down there. I think he had 2 or 3 big blocks at the end of the game. One against Walker Kessler that I was like, oh
yes.
my god! Like, I don't know,
And it's like,
Kessler
and
was
I'm like,
shocked.
there he is,
Right.
finally. And I said, there he goes. See, he's listening to the All Things Cleveland Cavaliers podcast, just like Kobe Altman did last year. Now Evan Mobley with the ATC, because he's finally making some plays.
There we go. But speaking of players coming back from injury,
Oh, yes, sir.
let's get excited, but not too excited, because I guarantee he is going to be on a big minutes
Oh,
restriction.
for sure.
The man, the myth, the legend, the guy who we said was a big reason the Cavs did not make the playoffs last year, 1 Ricky Rubio, is coming back tonight which is January 12th against the Portland Trailblazers. Oh, Brandon,
So
I can't wait.
I think, by the way, it's a big telling factor that the day free agency started last summer, the Cavs immediately signed Ricky Rubio to a 3-year extension. That tells me that the Cavs know how valuable he is. They have been extremely patient with him. Obviously, it's been over a year since he tore that ACL. No, it's his second ACL injury. We've seen guys come back from two ACL tears before. Again, we'll have to see how his body recovers. But I am expecting for him to obviously slowly increment back into the system. But as we talked about last week, and you got me thinking about this over the last week a little bit more, because I do think Rubio will provide the ability for them to not rely on Mitchell and Garland and potentially give them more rest. But there's also the possibility of you could realistically, if you needed to go to a more scoring punch, because again, the Cavs do not really have a true wing to score on the outside. If you felt like you really needed to go more scoring, I think eventually you could see a Darius Garland, a Donovan Mitchell, or a Ricky Rubio 3 guard lineup. And I do think Rubio being a true pass first point guard distributor, and obviously he can score as well, but being a true pass first point guard distributor will really help hopefully set up Love and Mobley and Allen and whatever other big men underneath, because there will be no drop off, and no disrespect to Renault Neto, but he is not the facilitator, the distributor of the offense, the true veteran impact that I think Rubio will have on this team playing big minutes. I expect him to really be, by the time we get in a real, 75%, 90% of the way through the season, to truly be the Cavs six man. Again, I don't think at this point, obviously, there's no chance he's going to win the six man of the year. But last year, Love was kind of, when Rubio went down, Love was definitely the catalyst off that bench. I think this year, Rubio will be that guy once he gets more healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, but I'm also going to throw this out there, and it kind of just, it kind of just expands on your talking point, which is Rubio is that pass first point guard. He can drive to the lane. Mm-hmm. He's got great handles, and he can set up Mobley. He can set up Allen. Allen and Mobley are only going to benefit from Rubio coming back, because now you have to account for both of those guys a lot more than with maybe DG, as great as Darius is in the passing game. And you can see, it just seems like year after, the last 3 years, he's gotten better and better and better. And even Mitchell. I mean, Mitchell, I think, is having a career high in assists.
No one talked. I mean, obviously, we mentioned this a little bit last week. We talked about his 71-point game. But I feel like Mitchell's passing has been a little bit underrated, if you will. I mean, he's scoring, at will. I mean, the other night against Utah, what do you have? Almost 40 points, and he still had 8 or 9 assists.
I think he had 46.
46 points. And again, like, he's still getting 46, but not only that, he's not ball hogging the ball. He's still getting 7, 8, 9 assists tonight.
But with Rubio, I think that the towers in the middle are going to eat more.
I agree.
I think that and I think that has been a big problem for this Cavs team the last, I want to say, month. Is it seems like they are not going to the middle. They are not working from the middle out. They're not driving as much. You see when LeVert drives, how many people are open on the outside. I get that. But you need to get in there and get the ball to Allen, get the ball to Mobley for those easy dunks. Mobley needs to be more aggressive and just throw it down. We're passing up easy points to try and pass it out to the perimeter for a three. Yeah. Oh my, and I'll, just last point before we get in our next thing, because if I don't get this off my chest, Brandon, I am going to explode. Isaac Okoro listen to me, young man. You are a phenomenal defender. I would dare say that you could potentially be an all defense player if you stopped trying to shoot the damn three and just slash to the rim. You are going to score lots of points.
Joey's
You,
cracking me up. You guys are listening on audio and not video right now. Oh my goodness.
if
You know,
if
I have
I
been
wait,
thinking
hang on,
about that. Go ahead,
hang
go
on.
ahead.
I never want to see him. Isaac, you know I love you, brother, but I'm going to tell you this. I never want to see you shoot a three in winning time ever again.
You can say that dating back to last year, though. That's the problem.
But I rewatched that, and I swear to God, it just my head wanted to explode because he shot that three when he literally hit an open path, and he could have just jammed the ball home. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like this team needs to stop shooting threes because you're giving players who shouldn't be shooting threes. And I'll even admit he is a better 3-point shooter this year than he was last year. Last year, every time he threw the ball up, I was like, nope, that's not going in. At least now I'm like, this is probably not going in, but there's a chance. So I can see that there has obviously been a little bit of growth in his 3-point shooting, but the kid flies. He is a high flyer. I don't think he has realized yet just how of effective he could be if he played to his strengths. He is a great defender. Might be one of the, could be number one on the Cavs in terms of being able to guard, the point guard through the power forward. But my God, when it comes to offense, I want he needs to stand in the corner, and as soon as he gets the ball, just slash to the rim and dunk it. That's all he has to do. He would score 20 points a game if he did that.
He basically needs to be treated like a smaller Ben Simmons, in
Oh,
my opinion.
exactly.
Like,
But he would excel so well at it because he's so aggressive on defense. If he took that aggression and said, I'm going to use that on offense, I'm going to cut, I'm going to create chaos. And when I get the ball, I'm going to jam it in people's faces. He would score 15 to 20 points a night.
yeah, but I completely agree with you, but I don't know what it is about. It's not just the Cavs; it's every single team in the NBA this year. They have said, I've heard it a couple of times, there's going to be a record amount by a large margin of just 3-point attempts throughout the NBA this year. They've according to all of the analytics and metrics, the mid range shot has basically disappeared completely from the game. It's all 3-point shots. It's all layups and dunks. And
That's a big reason why. That's a big reason why I really appreciate Karis LeVert though,
yeah,
because he's that guy who he will take that with those mid ranges all day long.
and listen, the Cavs have shooters, and they have the the ability to knock down shots from 3-point land, and we've seen that when they can get hot, that's where they blow people out. But they don't have obviously outside of Garland and Mitchell, they don't have guys that you really would call a 3-point marksman or a 3-point shooter that can consistently knock down the three. I guess you could throw Love in there a little bit, but the point is their game should be based off driving to the basket, getting easy buckets and mid-range layups, and creating opportunities on defense in transition.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's where the balance needs to come in. And that's why, like you said, you could see this record number of threes being shot, and you could see it across the landscape. But we're feeling it with the Cavs. I mean, like you said, Garrett, Darius
Garland.
Garland, yeah, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are elite 3-point shooters. They're elite. Outside of them, like you said, Love. When his thumb heals, he's still I would say an elite 3-point shooter. But no one else on that team, I'm going to say, is elite. But what you do have is you have a 6'10" center who we think is one of the top 2, top 3 best centers in the East, one of the best centers in the league, and Evan Mobley, a 7-footer who hasn't even scratched the surface of his potential yet, anchoring the middle. Those are easy buckets. Give me two guaranteed instead of possibly three. There's so many times that they have lost leads because that's what they're doing. They're trying to go to the perimeter, and they're either they're trying to
Yep.
keep a team's making a run and they're trying to keep up with them by
Yep.
hitting the three.
I agree.
If you're up 10 and a team's getting hot from three, get the easy two. It's gonna take them a
Yep.
long time to
And
make that 10 up.
and and by the way, it feels like once they get that lead, and you mentioned this, once the other team starts coming back, it feels like the they stop going inside. Period. I mean, it just feels like a jump
Yep.
shot contest, and then the offense goes stale because then they're like, oh crap, we're about to blow this lead. Well, okay, let's go to one of Garland or Mitchell and play iso ball, and then the defense picks up on that. And again, I've said this all along. Regardless if Mitchell or Garland make the shot, it's almost like you're playing hero ball, and so that's why I feel like the Cavs at times also have been blowing these leads. But they are also really good at the same token of being down, and then they start going inside and they get the lead right back. So it's
Yeah.
like there's no consistency.
No, but that's one of the reasons why I still, really like Kevin Love is because when he's in the game and and Garland throws him the ball and he's at the elbow, people are moving, people are cutting, people are trying to get open. That's something that Kevin Love brings to this team.
That's
But
the one thing the Cavs need to do more. And I think Rubio will will help with that. It frustrates me a lot with this team. I see Garland do it a little bit, Mitchell doing it a little bit, but even them not as consistent. When you don't have the basketball in your hands, and I always, I've said on this podcast multiple times, I've compared Garland specifically to Trae Young and Steph Curry. If you watch both of those guys play, when they don't have the ball in their hands, they're always coming off an off ball screen. They are always moving. They are always being the defense chase, getting the defense tired. It is the threat of you getting the basketball and getting in an open shot because the defense knows if you get that shot, you're going to make the basket. I don't feel like the Cavs move without the basketball as much, which again I think if they do because they do have the personnel for it. Regardless of who has the ball at the guard position, you have another guard who is an all-star lethal like player. You have two big men, one that can set the screen on the ball, one that can set the screen off the ball and move and get into that paint and create easy baskets. And it feels like, okay, set up, pass here, dribble, 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 pass. Oh, there's 5 seconds on the shot clock. Oh, I got to shoot a three. It's not productive offense. And it's like they don't do it all the time at all, but they go into these streaks that are extremely frustrating.
yeah, it is, and it's fun to watch when they go on these streaks where they're outscoring the team 17-1,
Yep.
but then when it's how many games this year have they been up by 10 in the fourth quarter and they end up losing the game? There's been 4 or 5 of them, and
Yeah.
it's extremely frustrating to watch. But Brandon, there are some fixes that
Oh,
it is that time, ladies and gentlemen, that time of the year where we need to talk trades. A
it's
lot of
our annual Brandon and Joey dive into hypothetical trade season.
last year, the first player that we said the Cavs should trade for was one Caris LeVert, and the Cavs went out and traded for one Caris LeVert, and we were absolutely thrilled about it. I think we started talking about LeVert in December.
Probably.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was mid-December.
Yep.
When we started talking about Caris LeVert. We've mentioned some names on here. I shouldn't even say names. I think we mentioned one name. And
we have mentioned a few.
Yeah. But a lot of trade rumors are starting to come out, and we wanted to give you guys some of our not predictions, but maybe some trades that we would like to see the Cavs make if they were possible. Now, me and Brandon will go back and forth. We will talk about the trades. We will try and be a little bit quick about it. But I will say this, that me and Brandon this is not a fantasy trade scenario. We have both kind of scoured the NBA and put ourselves in the shoes of both GMs. Does this make sense for both teams? Because obviously the Cavs are not going to trade Raul Neto for Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's not something that's going to happen. So we these are trades that we feel are somewhat realistic, mostly realistic. I know for me personally, they're all realistic, or something to think about. But Brandon, do you want to start us off, or you want me to?
I will start us off. So the
Okay.
way I did this is, and I told you this last night off the air, and I believe, and it certainly is possible, the Cavs could find a team in playoff contention. But I believe this year in the NBA, there's going to be more tanking than usual because there is a generational prospect on the market who will be picked number one overall in Victor Wembanyama. Therefore, I believe the teams are going to start looking to trade away players that are on expiring contracts or salaries that they can just dump that are maybe worse players and that they can tank to end the year to try to win that lottery ping pong ball in May. So my first trade here.
Well, real quick, there are other really good players in this draft too. I will put that, but Wembanyama
There,
he is the prize.
he is the prize.
There are players that people would be like salivating over in this
Scooter
draft.
Henderson for sure.
Yeah, that if Wembanyama wasn't in this draft, but he is, and whoever gets him is going to be very, very happy. I do believe.
So my first trade, I have gone to the Charlotte Hornets.
Mm.
I am sending Karis LeVert along with Dylan Windler. Yes, the one and only Dylan Windler, who God knows where he is. I believe he's hurt. I haven't really seen him in like 2 months. But Dylan Windler is still a Cav. He's not going to be a Cav into this trade scenario. I am trading for PJ Washington. And I am also acquiring Kelly Oubre Jr. That is the
So
first trade.
So I like that trade. My problem is I do not think that I think that if you are absolutely trying to tank, yeah, okay, maybe you make that trade. Um, but what's funny is I have two players of who I do not want to trade for.
Okay.
Um, one of them is Kelly Oubre Jr.
Okay.
Now, let me explain to you why. Kelly Oubre Jr. has 1 year left on his deal. This is his last year. We do not so his contract is up, and I think that he is going to get a big bag
No, that's
from
fair.
someone next year. He's going. So I mean, Levert, we realistically could, and in all these trades, I promise you, almost all the players are going to be the same that the Cavs are giving up that
Yeah.
we are doing this with. So I like the trade. I think Washington is also has 1 year left as well.
Yes.
Um, so I for the Cavs, I love the trade. I think Washington coming off the bench to play that power forward or center position because I don't know what they got Robin Lopez for because they do
I
not play
I
him.
I said it since what week 2 of this season.
Yeah.
I where is what don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. I mean, we're not gonna get into it, but maybe next episode.
I could do a whole show on why the hell did that Robert Lopez and not play him.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Allen goes out and you don't play your backup center. What the hell's going on out there? Anyway, but yeah, Kelly Oubre, I love his game. I think that he is going to get a massive contract. I think he's going to get I think he's going to get 20 plus million. Excuse me, man. I'm really
You're really
coughing
getting
a little
worked
bit
up
here.
over these trades.
I am. I'm worked up, man. I'm excited. You know, I love trades. I love shaking up the landscape a little bit. So yeah, so as far as the trade, love it. Is that realistically going to happen? I do not believe so. I think a more realistic trade, and I don't have this on my list, but I did think about it, and people have this has been talked about. I don't know if it's been. I don't believe it's been talked about from the Cavs perspective because I do know that the Cavs are. I mean, unless a big trade is offered to them, I'm pretty sure Kevin Love is not. He is off the table.
From what I understood, yeah.
Because they both Kevin Love and the Cavs Kevin wants to finish his career here in
Yes.
Cleveland, and the Cavs want to keep him here. So I think that there might be some team friendly deal that we're going to be making at the end of the season. He is making 28.9 million, I believe, almost or
Which
almost, I'm sorry,
that
almost.
I believe, and again, depending on salary, because it feels like NBA players are making more and more and more, but you would expect it to make probably more than half of that cut. I would expect.
Oh, I would say more. I would say I wouldn't be surprised if we signed him for maybe like 3 years, 8 million a year,
Yeah,
7.5, 8 million, something like that. So I mean, and you can't forget that Garland's contract kicks in next year too.
exactly.
So that 30 million is getting replaced. So the Cavs are gonna have to cut somewhere, but they do have some players coming off the books as well. I do like that trade very much, Brandon. My first trade, and I believe this has been talked about, and some are saying that this team is asking for too much for these players, but we'll find out. I have Karis LeVert along with Isaac Okoro, 2 pick swaps, 2 second-round picks to the Detroit Pistons for Bojan Bogdanovic and Sadiq Bey.
Okay, so the funny thing is, we actually have one of the same trades because this is almost the same trade.
Okay.
Outside of the pick swaps because I didn't do the pick swaps, but the only reason why I didn't officially use that one is because they have said basically Bogdanovic is off the table, so I just kind
they
of moved on from it.
they will trade him if he is helping them win games.
No, but I'm saying from the Cavs perspective, I have read reports the Cavs will basically not be in Bogdanovic because Detroit will not. Basically, Detroit wants a lot of them, wants a lot as you hinted, and the
you,
Cavs don't have the assets. Mainly, Detroit wants a first round pick for him.
Well, yeah, but you also, I mean, you have Cade Cunningham who's hurt. You have Jaden Ivey who's been playing, fairly well. They have pieces. Duran who's been playing well at center as well. They
You
have
want to talk about a
pieces.
team that should tank? I'd be like, Jay Diving, come here. Your knee, it's not feeling great,
Right. But so I think a lot of what the Pistons are saying is just posturing. I think their price will
Okay.
come down because here's the thing. I like Bogdanovich, but he's 33 years old.
He is, yeah.
He's
I agree.
old. If I'm being 100% honest, I would rather the Cavs go after Sadiq Bey. I
I mean,
think
that's
that
basically for us. And I think me and you both believe this. But Bogdanovich is almost a throw-in, if you will. Well,
I
that's
mean
the
he I
guy
mean
I want is Sadiq
I mean
Bey.
he yeah I mean Bey has taken a step backwards this year from how he was playing last year. But he's also just not getting the minutes
Yep.
as well. He was getting big minutes last year because Jeremy Grant was hurt. So I really like Sadiq Bey. I think that with the right coaching and on the right team, he could be a starting small forward. I think he's 6'7". He's tough. He's only 23 years old. So I like him a lot. But that's one of my trades. What's your next one, Brandon?
Okay, so this one is one that I certainly don't think the other team is going to be willing to do unless they want to go a complete tank job, which again I
Oh,
believe they
yes.
should. But I am going to the Washington Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
I am trading Levert, Windler, and Okoro. So I am giving up 3 players in this scenario. But I am taking back Will Barton and I'm taking back Kyle Kuzma.
That would be a tank job because you still got Bradley Beal on that team. You still got Porzingis on that team. And Kuzma has been playing out of his mind this year. So you would really, I mean, I don't know where they're at in the standings right now, but I know that there's teams that are way worse than they are as far as record goes. So you would have to say I am going to rest Beal and
Yes.
Porzingis and uh and trade Kuzma for the opportunity to potentially get Wembyama.
Yeah.
But is it real? Is it a possibility? very slim, but still a possibility that the A team, maybe even the Wizards, are thinking like that. What they have done has not been working, so they
Well,
obviously need to start thinking.
that's exactly my point. Is
Yeah,
and I get that they have some talent. Obviously Bradley Beal re-signed their big max deal this offseason, but Porzingis, who's really their other big piece outside of Kuzma. We know, he's very streaky. He can be a very good player, but he also had injury prone throughout his career. And they just seem like a team that forever, ever since Roy Gilbert Arenas has been stuck in purgatory. I don't remember the last time really that they have made in Eastern Conference Final. And I do feel again, there was some of this talk with Zion Williamson back in the 2019 draft. But I think that there are a lot of teams in the NBA. Obviously, as we've talked about throughout the course here, the NBA has gotten better, but there are still a lot of teams that are right in the middle. And to me, as a GM, again, I'm speaking for both the Cavs and the Wizards and the whole NBA here. If I'm a GM of the NBA, being a fan of a team like the Wizards is the worst possible feeling as a fan, because you can't get any worse, you can't get any better. You're just kind of stuck there for years and years and years. So I don't think that Washington will do it. But my perspective on them was like, well, we do get Levert, who's an expiring contract. You do get a young and up and coming player in a Okoro. You see potentially what you can get in Windler. And from the Cavs' perspective, that would be for me just going in all out, getting a typical Wayne Kuzma, Will Barton as well, who's another great, 3-point shooter who can come off the bench and pair with Rubio and Love and all the other guys on the bench. To me, that would be a move where the Cavs are basically saying we are going for it. We do feel we are a top four team in the Eastern Conference, and I think that would help separate the Cavs maybe a little bit from a lot of the competition that's happening now in the Eastern Conference.
yeah, I like it. I'm gonna do two very unsexy trades, but I think trades
Okay.
that one is the Cavs and the Knicks. You know where I'm going with this. A straight up swap of Dylan Windler for Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish, obviously, somehow, for some reason, is in the doghouse with the Knicks. They are not playing him. He is a 6'8" small forward. This is the last year on his deal. Being in New York is not doing him any favors. The
Nope.
Knicks need to trade him to a team that could try and get him back on track. And I think that the perfect team to do that is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are in desperate need of who are in desperate of a longer wing. Reddish had some good games early in the season. I don't
Yep.
know what went wrong. Maybe he said something. Maybe he doesn't want to be in New York. I don't know what the situation is, but I know that he needs a new home, and I think that Cleveland would be a great home for him. Especially the Knicks don't want him. He's on an expiring contract. Dylan Windler, expiring contract.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, you know what, here, this guy's gonna be. You're gonna free up cap space. I think they'd free up $1.5 million right now, and then they would free up another $4.5 million at the end of the year. Cavs take a very small risk on Cam Reddish, see if he can help him out at all. So that's one. Another one is the Cavs and the Spurs.
Okay.
Cavs send Isaac Okoro and Dylan Windler for Josh Richardson.
Okay.
Now,
I was looking at San Antonio, by the way.
Richardson he is one of those players who's just uber reliable. He could be a 6-man of the year. I know he's only playing, I want to say 17 to 20 minutes a game, but he's averaging double digit points. He's always, he's right around the 5 rebounds, 3 assists. You play him more minutes. I think he's only 29. I
Yeah,
should
but
say
he's
he's
29
he's
years old.
29. So he's not really old yet. And I think that would be a huge benefit to the Cavs, because you're getting someone who's just super reliable. He can hit the three. He can drive to the rim. He plays solid D. He gets boards. He gets assists, but he doesn't take, he's right around that 55% field goal percentage. He doesn't take outrageous amounts of shots, and he's always he's super reliable. Would love to see someone like that on the Cavs who you can rely on. He reminds me of a 6'6" Jared Allen. You know what you're going to get from him.
Yep.
And let's hear your next one, Brandon, because I got two more.
Okay, you do, because I'm gonna let you go ahead and do that, because I actually don't have any more.
Oh, you don't have any
No,
more.
I don't.
Oh my god. I thought
No,
so. You're
I only went for two trades, and I went more aggressive, if you will, in
okay.
a bigger splash.
So the two players I did not want, I don't want the Cavs to trade for is Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yes,
because I do not view him as an upgrade. I would rather just roll with LeVert through the end of the season.
I concur.
Kelly Oubre, because yes, I do believe he is an upgrade, but we will only have him from now until the end of the year.
That's a good point.
Now this trade kind of breaks that rule because this is a player kind of similar to Kelly Oubre, only 1 year left. But I think the Cavs can make a deal to get him for maybe a 3-year deal, which is, and I'm sending LeVert Okoro. I'm sending the same package that I sent to the Pistons.
Okay,
LeVert Okoro, 2 pick swaps, 2 second-round picks, and if that's what it would take, to the Memphis Grizzlies for Dylan Brooks and Danny Green.
I like it.
Dylan Brooks is 6'7". He's 26 years old. This season, he's averaging 14 points. I think right around 5 boards, 4 assists. He's gotten a lot more playing time with Ja Morant being down, with Desmond Bane going down. Now, what this does for Memphis is they're going to have a lot of cap space cleared at the end of the season. They're going to have a lot of cap space cleared. Isaac Okoro gives them big help on defense, but I think that they're a team that someone might want to go to and play, because you're going to be playing alongside Ja Morant, who is, arguably a top 5 point guard in the league, and Desmond Bane, who honestly, next to Steph Curry, is probably the second best 3-point shooter in the league. This team they're extremely dangerous, and I think that they're going to be able to sign somebody this year to help out and take them to the next level. So I really like Dylan Brooks' game. He only has this year left on his contract, but I think that he is someone the Cavs might be able to sign 3 years.
Yep.
For 3 years, $14 million.
That's a good point.
14 million per year. But so that's a trade I really, really like. And I think if offered, and you might even, instead of the pick swaps, maybe say I'll give you a 2030 something first round pick.
It's a trade that I didn't really think of beforehand, but that's a great job by you. I mean, that is great GM work by Mr. Schneider over here.
Thank you.
Really diving deep, because I do think that is an even trade, and I know that you didn't touch on Danny Green that much, but
I was just about to.
But I really like Danny Green. He's a veteran, obviously a former Cavs, started his career with the Cavs, was on our 2007 team that we faced the Spurs, I believe. Obviously multi-time NBA champion with the Spurs and the Lakers. Yes, he's older, but he's a knockdown 3-point shooter, and coming off the bench is exactly what the Cavs need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this benefits both teams. Like I said, if they, I think even if you give them pick swaps and a, way down the road first round pick, I still think it's worth it, because I think if you can get a deal done with Dylan Brooks, I think that he is a perfect small forward to start next to Garland and Mitchell. Yep. And, that is a perfect trade for me. Now I do have my last one. This one is definitely a fantasy trade, but I want everyone to, or is it? Is this a trade that you are willing to make? Kobe Altman gets on the phone.
Okay.
He calls up the Boston Celtics.
Now, real quick, before you say this, from what perspective am I thinking this from the Cavs perspective, or am I thinking this from Boston's perspective?
You're thinking I'm setting the stage. You're thinking of this
Okay.
as just a fan in
Okay.
general's perspective.
Okay.
And you hear about this trade, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers send Kevin Love. They send a 2030 something first round pick.
Okay.
They send 2 second-round picks along with Evan Mobley to the Boston Celtics for Jaylen Brown and Danilo Gallinari.
I think I would pass on it
As a Cavs fan or a Boston fan?
as a Cavs.
Really?
As a Cavs, I think I would pass on it, and I almost think Boston would be close because I really do believe Jaylen Brown is that good, and you have an opportunity to win a championship right now. And again, Mobley is a generational talent. We think, um, that's hard.
So
That is really hard.
here's this for me. I know the Cavs need a wing. The Cavs
Yes, they
need a
do.
wing. We need a starting wing. Someone that we can rely on game in, game out to start. Jaylen Brown fits that mold. Gallinari is getting, he's been hurt almost his entire year. And he's getting up there in age too. So that is where it benefits the Cavs. Boston gets Kevin Love, who's an expiring contract. So they clear money up.
Yep.
But do they really, but then you get Evan Mobley, who is going to be mentored by the likes of Tatum, by Al Horford, and
Yeah.
imagine that you cannot get into the lane with Robert Williams and Evan Mobley there.
Yeah, you're convincing me from a Boston perspective.
From a Cavs perspective, you have Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Jaylen Brown. I could go out there as the power forward.
You said that last week. Yep.
Yeah, I could go out there as the power forward, and we would still win.
Can I ask? I will say this. I think inside the building, this is a decision the Cavs have to make from the coaching staff, from the developmental staff. If you believe the Evan Mobley we have gotten this year is more likely to be the Evan Mobley that we will get 3-4 years from now, and not continue to grow and become the generational leader and talent of this team because of the fact you have Mitchell, Garland, and Allen on this team, that's where you make the trade.
So I want to say this. All of these trades obviously are just trades that we would make. None of them have any substantial, there's been reports that the Cavs are interested in certain players. None of the ones that I don't believe any of the ones we mentioned. I think they have interest. They might have interest in Sadiq Bey. I believe I've heard Josh Richardson. We've heard Tim Hardaway Jr., but Cavs, please, Altman, don't do it. I know I've heard Oubre. I've heard Oubre's name thrown around with the Cavs. But that last trade is strictly a food for thought trade.
Joey, I will tell you it is. I mean, if I don't think either team would propose it, but if it would get proposed, I think both would have to think about it.
It would be a head scratcher for both teams.
So the struggle I'm having is because in my mind, I'm thinking we really drafted Evan Mobley with the 2021 number 3 overall pick. And we all thought this kid was going to be the next Tim Duncan, the next Kevin Garnett, whatever
He's
you will, and he
he's in
was
his
going to
second
be
year.
he was going to be the guy that really a year or two, I kind of thought took over Darius Garland as the best player on this team. But then things changed. And Garland to me grew up before our eyes faster than I think I personally thought. The Cavs were better last year, obviously, than I personally thought. Um, so that is where you're like, okay, Garland's already a made man. Now we have Donovan Mitchell, which was not even the question a year ago, but now it has completely changed the equation. Because now that you have Mitchell locked in and you have Garland locked in, it would suck if Boston, because I know Boston would not be willing to do the trade if you swapped Mobley and Allen, because I do think Mobley has the higher ceiling, and that's the problem. Because I do think there would be a situation where you could convince me Jared Allen for Jaylen Brown. Yes, I would probably do that.
That's if the Cavs wanted to bring a star back, Evan Mobley's going to have to be in the deal. That's just the
Yeah,
way it's going to be.
I know.
But I don't. It was just a food for thought trade. I will say this: Cavs, Colby, call up Memphis and see what it would take to get Dylan Brooks. I think that is a perfect fit.
I do think I will add this in before we preview next week's games. I do think out of all the trade scenarios me and you both proposed today, the most likely to happen is the smallest deal you proposed, which is Cam Reddish for Dylan Windler. That's to me.
I don't think Josh Richardson's out of the question either.
I don't, but I think that if they're gonna make a move, I think it's gonna be a smaller move. LeVert could be involved because of that expiring contract, and depending on how the money works.
I want people I want people to know this too. I don't want to get rid of anybody except Dylan Windler. And it's not because it's I have nothing against Dylan Windler as a person, but Dylan Windler has barely played for this team, and this is the last year of his deal.
I mean, I guess Jetty Osman too. Thinking about they could throw in there
if the right deal came along. But Jetty's $8 million, so I want to throw this out there though. I don't want to look at this from Boston wants more for this player. As a Cav, if I'm Kobe Altman, I'm saying no. I'm not taking less for Caris LeVert because Caris LeVert has been a great player for the Cavs this year, and if they do not trade him, I won't. I actually do not expect them to trade him unless the right deal comes along for the Cavs.
Which is why I think it's more likely a Spurs, a Pistons. One of these bottom teams in the league do make that deal, because that's the only way, in my opinion, it's going to be the right deal for the Cavs. You're going to get a team that just wants to bring in somebody to clear salary cap space.
Right. I'm not trading LeVert for nothing. If I'm the Cavs, I'm sitting back until the last second of the trade deadline, and then if the right deal doesn't come along, I'm not moving LeVert at all. I think that LeVert can be a huge piece to a Cavs deep run if he becomes a little bit more consistent. But he has been great defensively. He gets into the lane. He's one of the few Cavs who can create his own shot on a consistent basis. So I think that everyone's like, this team wants this for this. Okay, well, great, but I'm not trading you, Caris LeVert for. You offer me something good, and on top of that, that's where we're at. I mean, the Cam Reddish trade is the one that I would probably explore the most. And beyond that, if something comes along that knocks my socks off, that's when I would start thinking about making a move. But I'm not going out exploring if I don't really have to.
Question for you. Ricky Rubio obviously returns tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers.
Cavs by 20.
Do the Cavs go into Portland and get that victory?
Okay, so Portland has been a little bit gone down a little bit. this year. They were my pick for surprise team.
They were hot to start the year.
Yeah. So I think that the Cavs coming to town, amped up that Ricky Rubio is going to be on the court with them. I think that emotions are going to be high. I think the Cavs are going to be fired up. Hopefully, Jarrett Allen is going to be better from his food poisoning or whatever, his stomach bug, whatever was ailing him against the Jazz. And I believe that if all of that is comes to fruition, the Cavs are going to go in and beat the brakes off of the Portland Trailblazers.
And hopefully they should, because they will have a bad taste in their mouth from from what happened Tuesday night. This will be the last game, I believe, this year that they are in the Western Conference time zone. I could be wrong about that, but I think Pacific time zone could be one of the last games of the year because they played a lot of their West Coast games. They still got Houston and
Well, yeah,
and Oklahoma
yeah.
City
I mean,
and Dallas, but those are obviously more Central time zone. I mean, like way out west. Um, so I think they go out and I think that they get a much needed win because their schedule, and I can't wait till we preview next week because next week they got a Milwaukee Golden State back to back. We'll preview that on next week's episode. Their schedule gets extremely difficult starting basically now. You need to get every single win you can because even some of these teams that should be, they're probably not going to be just because of the gruelness of the NBA schedule.
right.
So to me, this is a game where it's your second to last game of a long West Coast trip. Get this win tonight and go fly to Minnesota and see what happens on Saturday because that is a tricky game, I think.
I think so as well. Oh, that's a tough one. Is Karl Anthony Towns still out?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I can look
I
that up.
think, yeah, I think he's out. He's out for an extended period of time because I know a lot of players uh
So
have
yeah,
been.
he's still out,
So
and
I'm
they
gonna
have been
go.
struggling.
Yeah, that's why you're gonna go and you go to Portland. You get the win. You go to Minnesota. You have a couple. I think so you have 2 days off. You rest up the best you can. You're gonna have to fight Gobert, but I think you got the firepower down low with Mobley and Allen.
Yep.
You got D'Angelo Russell, but you got Donovan Mitchell. You got Anthony Edwards,
Yes.
but you got Darius Garland. You got Karis LeVert. I think that the Cavs go into Minnesota and they get the win in a very close game.
So the last time we played Minnesota, Cat was playing obviously, and that was coming off our first long West Coast trip, and that was at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and took a miracle performance by Darius Garland without Donovan Mitchell to come back and almost win that game against the team that was very early in the season.
And that was with Karl Anthony Towns,
Yeah.
but without Donovan Mitchell. So I'm
So
saying, without Donovan Mitchell, I'm sorry, without Karl Anthony Towns, but with Donovan Mitchell, I'm saying the Cavs win.
I think the Cavs play inspired ball. I think that they will get that win. And then we go to MLK Day, where they will take on the Zion Williamson list New Orleans Pelicans. And the Pelicans, as we know, they're one of the surprises of the NBA this season. My biggest worry about this game is what I just said, what happened the last time we played Minnesota, which is this is the first game after a long West Coast trip, and it's on a holiday. And usually, when you play that first game back at home, that is the most difficult game, and then they go right back on the road after that. So I'm a little bit concerned that this is a really tough spot for the Cavs to be in. I especially if Zion was playing, I would say they most definitely probably lose this game. I do think I'm going to be a little bit optimistic here. I think that there is a chance that they could potentially lose this game and not look sharp, but I think they win a very tight ball game.
So no Zion, right?
Correct.
No Brandon Ingram, right?
I believe so. Yes.
No chance that the Pelicans are going to beat the Cavs. I shouldn't say no chance. Always a chance, but I'm going to say the Cavs are going to take this win.
Okay.
I think they're going to keep McCollum in check. I mean, McCollum does have good games in Cleveland. He is from Cleveland. He
He
loves his
seems
home.
like he always balls out against us.
He does, but I think that we have Donovan Mitchell now. I think that they are going to keep McCollum in check. You got to watch out for Valanciunas. He can always be dangerous, but I think that Allen Mobley keep him in check, and I think the Cavs take this game. I do think, like again, we'll be tight. Maybe a 3 to 6 point win going down the stretch, but I do think the Cavs will take this and be on a three win streak.
And then finally for our last preview, they go to Memphis. Big game. Now again, it's tough because you go right home to play the Pelicans, and then you're right back on the road against Memphis. To me, I do not see a scenario where the Cavs do go 4-0. I think this is the most likely loss, especially as they get ready for a huge Friday, Saturday back to back at home against Golden State and Milwaukee. So I'm just gonna say it. I think the Cavs lose this game. I think it's tight. I think it's close, but I think the Cavs ultimately fall here in Memphis.
I think that this game depends on if John Morant
Yeah,
and Desmond Bain play.
that's a good point.
If Josh still out, I know Desmond. He's coming back from an injury, so he's not really playing. He's kind of in and out of the
No,
lineup.
that's a good point. The Cavs are getting some injury breaks here. I think
So
obviously,
so if so for me, if Ja is not playing, if Ja is not playing, I think the Cavs actually win this game and can go 4-0. If Ja does play, then obviously it's gonna be very tough. But I think that that's also the other side of that coin is if John Morant's playing, do they sit Desmond Bain? And if they do that, then that's you're talking about the second best 3-point shooter in the league. You know, you're not gonna stop John Morant, but you can contain him. It's just like Donovan Mitchell. Like you can't stop Donovan. Teams can't stop Donovan Mitchell, but they can try and contain him to 20, 25 points, 30 points. But he's still going to get his points, but there's someone else pick up the slack. If Ja is still out, I'm taking the Cavs. If Ja plays, I'm going to say it's tough, and the Cavs will probably take the loss on that one.
Joey, second straight week, ATC has gone 1 hour in length.
Oh God,
How do you feel?
I feel like we could probably do another hour and not bat an eye. But we love talking all things Cavs. That is what we are all about. And the Cavs are still doing a fantastic job, sitting at I believe 26-16.
They are. I believe, and I have this here. Yes, they are 26-16. They are on pace to go 52-30. We are officially halfway point.
And I believe when they get 100% healthy, they're going to rattle off a big streak. I think that you're going to see maybe in the back half of the year after the All-Star break, they're going to rattle off 6, 7, 8, 9 games in a row. And I think that once we are healthy and we see this team firing on all cylinders, we're going to hit that mark. We're 10 games above 500. As how many games should we have won? But there are no moral victories. You go learn from your mistakes and get the next win, starting with tonight in Ricky Rubio's return to the Cavs from an ACL injury. I cannot wait to watch this game tonight, Brandon. I will come home and watch it after I go and watch my daughter, my own daughter, play basketball. And Brandon, super fun episode. Gotta always love the trade talks, food for thought, talking about Rubio coming back, previewing the games. You know what? The games that they won, great. The games that they lost, it happens. But they are 10 games above 500 at this point in the season. Gotta love it, buddy. Only one thing left to do.
You already know. Let them know.